WCCS AM 1160 and 101.1 FM. And we're on Facebook Live this morning with Indiana County Commissioner Sherene Hess. Sherene Hess is, of course, somebody who is very, very active around this county in a number of different ways. You've got the farm. You were telling me you got the farm tour today, huh?
Yes, their legislative tour is today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, at Lone Oak Farm near Ambrose, as I understand.
Yeah. So you'll get to go out there for that. And,
Yes.
well, maybe that's a topic for another day, because I know that's pretty close to your heart, the agricultural issue.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in a way, this topic today can touch upon that as well.
Yeah, yes.
Sustainable economy. Now, there was a meeting a month or so ago, maybe two.
Yeah, that meeting was the stakeholder listening sessions for the Indiana County Sustainable Economic Development Task Force.
Mm-hmm.
And the task force is a rather large group of individuals who got together about a year and a half ago, and they, a small core group asked the commissioners to start this task force, and we gladly obliged because we're up for hearing about anything that can help our economy, give our economy some resiliency, add to the tremendous efforts that are already happening. So these are folks who are interested in sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, building and construction using sustainable methods, mm-hmm. and environmental stewardship, all of those things tying together. So it's been very active. And
there's a very definite economic impact from the sustainability, I don't want to say a sustainability industry, but from that whole aspect of what we're doing here.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. You have a boom in what they're calling the clean energy movement, and we're talking about solar and to some extent wind, but that's fairly limited. Hydrothermals and geothermals and mm-hmm. All of those kinds of things that rely on a different way to get your energy and a different way to store it, talking about microgrids and things like that, a way to get that energy in a usable form, but in a different way than we do it now. So mm-hmm. that's one of the things, and sustainable agriculture, as we talked about, is another thing that's dear to me. I was just at a panel where elected officials and the National Farmers Union and farmers themselves talking about how agriculture looks in this new era of doing business in agriculture. And we actually have a lot of young people in Indiana County who are starting to farm. Mm-hmm. It's not traditional farming necessarily, but it certainly uses traditional farming methods. But they're talking about how you use your soil and you take into account the health of your soil, the shape of the land, the use of the water, and all those things that really speak to using nature to farm, but I don't want to say that this is an alternative to traditional farming, because we really need our traditional farms too to be successful, and that's an element of this task force as well.
But anything that can augment that, of course, it would be a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So, final report available yet on the task force?
No, we're working on the final report.
On the final
yes,
report.
It's September 28th is what we're calling the Sustainable Economic Development Summit mm-hmm. 2. It follows last year's summit, which was sort of an introduction to sustainability mm-hmm. in those areas. So that's September 28th.
And is there a chance for people to still provide input?
Yeah, actually, we have a link on the website, sustainableindianacounty.org, mm-hmm. and you can, it's a real short, brief survey, and basically about 4 questions, and a chance to basically write whatever comments you have related to that report. And all of the 4 different groups have their individual reports there as well. So it's really laid out pretty nicely. So if anyone gets to visit the site, I think they'll see where that is. And if they need help, they're always welcome to contact me or anybody on the website. We're talking with Indiana County Commissioner Sherene Hess about the sustainable economy and the summit that will result from it. This survey can play a large role. People who have not been on board with it yet have a chance here. Right on. We welcome anybody who's interested in making some comments. You don't have to know anything about any of these areas. Just bring in your ideas and what you want to see. We're interested in what your hopes are for Indiana County and its future. So as you've been putting together this final report, or the committee or whoever it is that's putting together the final report, what are some of the preliminary findings that you've been able to identify? Well, I'm glad you asked. So we have our first group, as I mentioned, sustainable agriculture, and one of their main aims is to really promote farming to the next generation. And they are talking about mobile ag learning centers and maybe even an incubator, working with our terrific organizations that are out there now, the Farm Bureau and Penn State Extension, and even our folks at IUP and the Sustainability Studies program who are looking into agriculture and things like that. And so renewable energy, talking about how we can use solar, how we can, introduce solar power to the folks here so that they can save money on their utility bills and hopefully spend that money somewhere else in the local economy. And in building and construction, we have the different ways that industry, the Green Building Alliance talks about all sorts of different ways to build new buildings and retrofit existing buildings, how to save energy. I mean, really, it's about saving money so that, you can use it in other ways. And our environmental stewardship is another big one. And then they're talking about clean water and storm water management. I mean, I don't have to tell anybody what a rough few days it's been with storm water. And my heart goes out to all the people dealing with it in their basements and on their properties. It is destructive. And it's not like we're going to find a solution overnight. Obviously, many people are working hard, but this group is, these suggestions are ways to augment, as you say, what's going on and different ideas and hopefully finding solutions to the problems.
And it's interesting how each of those areas that you mentioned can touch one of the other areas.
Yeah.
With agriculture, you think of that, stormwater management, wastewater management, protecting our rivers and streams from runoff, all of those things go into the whole concept of a sustainable economy.
Yes.
I'm interested in what you said about solar. Is there a real solar element here in Indiana County? Are there people using solar energy?
I know there are a few people. I don't think that we know everybody, and there may be folks out on the kind of in the remote areas that are using it. Have a field where they can put a few panels, and I've seen it on some roofs around here. Actually, on the street that I go, that's quite near to me, there's an array of solar panels. So, and there are groups now that are working on how to kind of gather up a bunch of people to maximize the investment into it, because it's not cheap. It's an investment, and that's the way you need to look at it. But there is a payback. It's hopefully fewer years than more. But it could definitely impact your electric bills.
I remember being in high school many, many decades ago. We were working on a solar heater then, for a solar water heater.
Yeah.
And I remember putting together this huge box with these glass panels and taking cans and painting them flat black to collect and absorb the energy from it, and it worked. So I could. That was 4 decades ago. I'm assuming that. I know that. The technology has sort of passed me by here.
The technology has come a long way, and that's where the jobs are in developing the technology, and then of course producing the products from that. And what you're saying though is these are ideas that aren't super huge and alternative. These are ideas that are come from old ideas, transforming into new ideas, and we're hoping to capture some of that growth in that industry and somehow make it work for Indiana County. And at the least, this has been a process that has brought people together who would have never had a voice really in the process. And it's produced its own amount of energy, which has been exciting to watch.
Another part of it that I'm capturing here is the fact that this helps individuals who decide that they want to maybe help their wallets a little bit or help the environment a little bit. Each of the individuals. But then as a whole, it can help the county. It could actually, if it really caught fire, it could bring industry here, maybe a manufacturer of solar panels, maybe some other application of sustainable technologies that can help our economy here.
Yeah, I think you're right on. Things like that don't happen overnight, and it takes many partners to make that happen. But that is the hope. And it's all about diversifying our local economies. We're not the only ones doing this. I think we have a rather unique perspective in that we're rural, but yet, we have all these assets here. I mean, we have a great quality of life here. What can we do to bring people here and enjoy that and have jobs and family supporting jobs and just a different way of life.
And as rural as we are, we still have a resource such as IUP, which
Yeah.
it's big time.
Big time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love IUP. Many resources there, and they've been a great partner in this effort. And so, and lots of folks have. We've got a real diverse set of partners here, from the business community, education, our technology center, obviously our elected officials, our great, wonderful nonprofit organizations. We're firing on all cylinders, as they say.
One of the things that has always puzzled me is how it seems that the people who advocate for one form of energy or another always seem to want to do it to the exclusion of other forms of energy, when if we would put them together, we would have something, I think, that would be much, not only more acceptable to everybody, but would be more beneficial as a whole. And since we have all these resources, if the sun ever comes out again, we could actually take advantage of solar a little bit more.
Thankfully, solar works even in the clouds, but it works much better with the sun. Yeah, that's the we set out not to exclude other types of energy production, but rather to kind of honor it. This area built this country, and we did it with coal and gas and timber and other things. And we don't mean to denigrate anything there. We want to be partners. We want this to be a partnership moving forward.
Yeah. So right now, in anticipation of this final report, we need folks to get online and take that survey.
Oh, we would welcome that for sure.
Yeah. The website again?
SustainableIndianaCounty.org.
There you go. SustainableIndianaCounty.org. Take the poll. It's only 3 or 4 questions.
Yep.
And by providing that survey result, then you can incorporate that into your final report.
Yeah, we'd love to have those voices.
By the end of September, you said?
Well, as soon as possible. We're creating the report now, so we want to have that input. But yeah, I mean, anytime. Really, this is a first step in a long process. So those comments will be considered regardless if they get into this final report, so to speak, or if they go on to be used in the next part of this initiative.
Terrific. Well, thanks for coming across the street talking to us about it.
Thank you.
We appreciate that very, very much. Sustainable economy. Is there another event planned for folks to get together, or is that something that you'll have to schedule once you...
The summit, we hope...
The summit itself.
Yeah, the summit is the 28th of September at Rustic Lodge. It's free and open to the public.
Oh, okay.
And lots of good speakers. We're going to just, unveil the report, and then the report will actually be presented to the commissioners, and they will decide... what are the recommendations they want to implement, or next steps. I guess that's a part that we're working on, what those next steps really are. But we know there's going to be next steps, so looking forward to it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.